Hello, my name's Owen and welcome to the JOL Wedding Podcast. Join myself and my co-host Caroline as we bring you all the inspiration and advice you need whilst planning your wedding. Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of the JOL Wedding Podcast. My name's Owen and welcome to this week's episode. I get to talk to the amazing Camilla from CJC Wedding Makeup and Hair. That's a long thing to try and say. Don't know why. But I really do hope you enjoy this episode. Let's get into it. Hi Camilla, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing? You okay?
Hey, I am good. Very well. Can't complain. Happy for a Monday. And thank you for having me. Very happy to be here.
I'm very, very happy to have you on. So if anyone who doesn't know Camilla she's the CEO of, founder and CEO of CJC. Getting that right, hair and makeup, aren't you?
I am indeed.
Wonderful. So you from what we were kind of just chatting just before recording, you've got a vast experience of the beauty industry. So you specialize quite in corporate, creative, and bridal styling as well. So I think having someone kind of with your expertise on is just going to help me kind of understand, and also my listeners, on what kind of goes into the kind of the bridal sense of styling, because I think it's something obviously kind of on that gender kind of thing. As a guy, I don't really know quite a lot about, and sometimes a lot of brides actually realize what goes into all that side of preparation for the wedding day, because I've heard kind of some stories where you got to really, because your skin is so sensitive, I've heard, so people kind of, you got to prepare your skin from like 6 months before the wedding day or something like that. Is that true, or?
You don't have to. Some choose to, and look, it depends what your skin is like. But yes, I mean, I think lots of things happen, don't they, when people are planning a wedding, where they go on these big fat loss journeys potentially. They start their skin, they start transforming their hair, and everyone, I think, pays attention to themselves because they want to look like the best possible version they can for their very special day, because it's a really, really important day, right?
Yes. Yeah, completely agree.
So yeah, so that's the thing, just having like a couple of facials before a wedding isn't really going to do much. So this is why these kind of beauty routines kind of can start quite early on. Also, I'm a big promoter, actually, more so of, drinking lots of water, eating the right things, and actually nourishing the body from the inside out rather than the outside in, because no amount of lotions and potions and all of that is going to really change what's going on the inside. So that's why I'd actually say number one is to really get your hydration up, supplements as well, if that supports you, and eating, leafy greens and all of that, and lots of protein to make your hair grow longer and be healthier and shinier, and your skin glowing, and kind of all of that. So you can make it as, I guess, an intense prep as you like, or an easy prep. You could just end up maybe having sunbeds and a spray tan and a few facials beforehand, or you can go in for preparing sort of 6 months or a year out and just paying attention. And also there's the cost involved as well, but there's lots of DIY stuff. Yeah. And as I say, eating right and drinking lots of water, that's not expensive. That's something that everybody can do, and I'm a big promoter of.
Yeah, that's something I actually struggle with as well. So, because, oh my God, I'm trying to drink like 2 liters of water a day, if not more. And my God, I'm going back and two from the toilet every 10 minutes. I'm trying to sit down doing the editing. I'm like, God, I need to go again, because it's flushing all that kind of, horrible stuff out your body, which is just going to make kind of your skin look better. It's going to make you feel better as well, which is going to do your day-to-day job. I think not a lot of people, when they're planning a wedding, especially obviously brides and grooms and everything like that, they don't really think of just the basics to start with to make sure that you look the best on your wedding. Start small and then go from you got your end goal, and just make sure you've got those little baby steps going towards little different goals to then get to your big one.
Yeah, absolutely. Reverse engineer the end result, as we would say.
That's it.
But yeah, unfortunately, everybody wants a quick fix nowadays, and consistency and health, it isn't sexy really. And so
Yeah.
much rather buy the stuff and have fun with the stuff, but really the big results come from essentially doing the work, as you said, forcing yourself to sort of drink more water, adapting your routine to allow you to do that. I drink a lot of water each day, so I know how you feel about running to the toilets, and obviously
Yeah.
or as you and I are probably on the road a lot as well, traveling to wedding venues and things like that. So, a couple of hour car journeys and you're smashing back like 2 liters of water. Yeah, something's got to give somewhere.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Just driving down the M6 going, I really need to find a service station because I'm about to burst.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's worth it. It is worth it. It is worth doing it. And, water in particular is really great because it actually shuffles all the nutrients like into the various cells in our bodies. So if we're not drinking enough water, even if we are eating the right things, we're not getting that kind of through. And I think one of the best things about water, and particularly, this is for everybody, but I know a lot of women, I think, want to hear this, like it takes all the puffiness out. So that the more water you drink, the more, and it sounds backwards, but the more water you release. So people think you're going to actually end up holding on and retaining water, but actually you let go of water. So when you're dehydrated, your body's holding on to lots of it. So if you continually drink water and you're doing it on a daily basis, your body actually releases water. So you get a nice contoured face. You don't have puffy eyes, and your skin obviously looks much better. So there's so many benefits, not just internally, but things that you can see on the outside.
Yeah, as you can tell, I've definitely been doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So obviously, one thing I want to kind of start with is how long have you actually been in the wedding industry from your journey starting as a makeup artist or a hairstylist?
So I trained as a hair and makeup artist back in 2009. Was it 9? Yes. Oh, I graduated actually from makeup school, went to a place called Grease Paint, which isn't there anymore. And it's now at Pinewood Studios called Ivor Academy. They kind of moved it over. But yeah, I was trained in TV, film and theatre initially. And
wow.
Yeah, so I did special effects and prosthetics and all of that, which is actually what I was most interested in going into. And we did have a week where we did bridal looks, and I absolutely loved that week. It was quite a while ago, so it was quite old-fashioned training. We were actually looking, with hair, we were looking at clusters, probably stuff you'd move in a movie when people had lots of hair pieces in. And I think nowadays, it's very much more natural and boho, and we've kind of thrown out the traditional bridal looks and the sculpted looks and anything too kind of done. And still, people still opt for some of that, but it's very much, it's about you personally. And this is when I talk to all my brides about, and we do as a team, is it's about bringing the best version of you out, and also not just going with trends, because Pinterest will serve up a lot of ideas. Your friends and family will also have a lot of ideas.
Oh, believe me, I definitely know all about that. When you get a look, you get a bride and she's got a very specific kind of vision for her wedding, and then she'll come back with you, say, I've found some little things on Pinterest. I've just put like a mood board together. Would you mind having a look? It's like, yeah, definitely send it over. And there's a big long list of all these photos. I'm like, okay, well, we'll try and work some of those in as best we can, because sometimes you really have to be realistic in terms of what venue you've chosen, what time of year as well. So if someone's kind of got all these sunset shots, yet you're getting married in the winter or autumn, that might not be as realistic as you think. So that is something that you've really, really got to think about.
Absolutely. And our equivalent of what you've just said there is finding hairstyle pictures in the same type of hair that you have. So brunettes, then don't look for blonde hair photos as well, because the hair is going to look completely different. And we've had that before where people have come to me and said, I want this style, and it's lovely like blonde hairstyle with a braid running through it, which looks lovely, and they've got dark hair and not any highlights in it. So yes, we can do the braid, but you're not going to see it, because what's happening in that photo, or a bit like your sunset at different times of years, is the light's picking up on the the intricacies of the braid. So we have to find, so when it's done on a brunette's head, then you just show up. So an alternative to that might be a twist or something, but it's just easier, I think, and this is something I recommend to everybody, is to find something as close to your hair type, also your skin type, as possible. So it's the most like realistic for you. And
yeah, I understand that. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one of the main things is just being realistic on your wedding day. It's something that I really push for, that every couple I speak to, like, please be realistic with what you are kind of looking to get out of it, because you get all these ideas coming through. You've got TikTok now, which is a massive kind of search engine for wedding ideas, and I'm trying to get through that myself, and trying to get through other things that would be really helpful to brides and grooms, and hence why doing the podcast is a really good advocate of doing that. But yeah, I think that's one of the main things, is being realistic, like you were just saying.
Yeah, and the overwhelm is real, as a play on words. That I'm thinking of TikTok Reels, real. I didn't mean to do that, no pun intended. But no, it really is nowadays. There's so many platforms, there's so many options. There's more and more content being thrown out there, more and more images. And Wedmin it's not called Wedmin for no reason. It is proper admin, and you need to be organized about it. And otherwise you can get extremely stressed out and overwhelmed. And already planning a wedding isn't something you're generally used to. So I think being organized around what the time you're spending on platforms, how you're organizing your inspo images and your galleries and things is really important for any couple and bride to really sort of handle, because otherwise it just adds unnecessary stress, confusion. And this is, I don't know if you've had any consultations where the hardest ones are when people don't know what they want, and the reason they do know what they want, but they're so confused because they've had so many different bits of information kind of thrown at them, not just from online, but I said, friends and family. So setting boundaries, I think, is a really important one around all of those things, to really listen in and tune in about what you want.
Yeah, that is something that we've had quite a few times, where things with like photography and things these days, there are so many different styles, and you've really got to kind of pinpoint one you want. So it's when sometimes you'll unfortunately have someone kind of see something very, very later on in their wedding journey, but they've already booked someone else, but they end up cancelling that person because they found something else they like. So then someone else kind of loses out because they haven't really found that perfect one yet. So I've heard a few stories about that a few times, unfortunately. But yeah, just being organized is such a big thing. That's why one tip that I've had given out before is creating a wedding email, because you get so many emails from all your different suppliers. Having that in one place it just makes sense, because if you've got it on your work email or just your personal one, you've got all your Amazon deliveries or any other kind of appointments you've got elsewhere, all these other kind of emails coming through, that they're just going to get lost or muddled up or anything. So yeah, being organized in that sense is something that you've really got to be. But kind of going back to kind of your role on the day. So kind of what is your role as a makeup artist or hairstylist on the day? So kind of as you turn up, what is your main aim to give to the bride?
The main aim is to just make her feel the best she's ever felt, like absolute $1 million. And just bring all the high vibes. And that's why I never just realized I never finished my story of how I got into weddings. But go
ahead.
So long story short, I started off in the filming industry, and after a year I assisted on a wedding, and I loved it. It felt like, it didn't feel like work to me. It felt like hanging out with the girls on Saturday morning, which is essentially what, and that's when I decided to not completely dump the filming industry, but move my focus away from the TV and film industry and move sort of over to weddings. So yeah, personality is so important when, for me, for my team, because as tension's running high. There's lots of new stuff. There's lots of new people around. There's lots going on. It's a big, big day, and there's kind of a lot of pressure around that. So I think the most important thing is that our brides or my bride feels like she's got someone there that she's known for years, someone that she, trusts, and are confident, and someone that she can be relaxed around as well.
Yeah.
Enjoy that morning, because there's going to be, lots going on, and pulled over here for photos. That's your job. And then it's like over here,
Yes.
cut the cake and go do the first dance, and and another quick little tip to any couples that are listening, I will say, please make sure, I'm sure other people say this, is like, make sure you take some time out for you at some point during the day, because it's gonna whiz by otherwise. To just take out 20 minutes, half an hour, just to go for a walk somewhere or some quiet room, and just really soak up that moment.
Yes, I completely agree, because we actually say this to our couples, because when they come out with us for photos, I know they're having photos done and whatever, but when you've got someone of that natural style where they want to have them talking and everything, they're actually catching up. I know we're there, but we could be 10, 20 meters away taking photos, and they're just having that time to themselves, because you're always going to have Nan dragging you around, have a photo with this person, have a photo with that person. So that's another reason why it can become overwhelming on your wedding day, not just in the planning process, because because everyone wants to talk to you. You could have 120 guests at times wanting to come and say hello, and it can just be absolute mayhem.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, there's just so many people there, and it's like, I'm sure no one thinks on the wedding day, but it's just like, this seemed like a really good idea at the time, but there are far too many people now here to have like a genuine conversation with people. And I think you need to make your peace with that that's not going to happen. And no one, no one really cares. They're just there to be in the energy and the atmosphere of your special day, and being in the room with you. And that's what I love about what I love about weddings is it's really like the couple's personality. There's so many things you add in, if we put hair and makeup aside, and also photos aside, just from like little favors and the venue and the decor and all of that, and the words that are said, that's what's so beautiful, because you really encapsulate energy of a couple, don't you, and energy of the individual in that couple. And yeah, that's just what makes weddings beautiful, I think.
Yeah, I think, like we said on one of our previous podcasts, every day's a happy day. Every day is a wedding. Every day's a happy day. So like, that's why we love going to work, because every day's happy. Because I feel really kind of, I'm trying to think of the word. I feel kind of special with the job that I've got, that I can go to work and I enjoy it every single time, because like I say, every day is a happy day. But going back to kind of your story of how you kind of carried on into the industry. So if you like to, do you want to carry on with what you were trying to remember what you were saying?
Jumping around.
We're jumping around. Oh, we do on these podcasts, honestly.
Oh, it's just natural, isn't it? So TV, film, and theatre is what I went to train in. And yeah, as I said, I did this sort of week bridal, we're learning some bridal look, and I wasn't that young, but I was younger at the time, and I just remember one of the, I thought, oh, actually, I think this is what I want to do, weddings. And someone said, oh, if you work in weddings, then you never have your weekends free. And I was like, oh, no, I don't like the sound of that. I'll stick with the film, thank you. And of course, when you go into the filming industry, like, you don't even have your life free. It's like, kind of. So as I mentioned before, I ended up assisting on this wedding, and then a couple more. I was working under a lady in St Albans, and I just absolutely loved it. And so I thought, this is what I just felt it. I felt this is what I'm, meant to be doing. And as you said, every day is kind of a happy day. So I switched my focus towards weddings, started building up my, bridal portfolio. And, it's just nice dealing with, one-to-one sort of customers. You're not working with models then.
Yeah.
So I started off in the filming industry for, a good a year and a half or so. With the filming industry, you work for free for 2 to 3 years. You may or may not get your foot in the door. And like everything in life, it's, it tends to be not what it's who you know. And I think
that's all industry, especially with the wedding industry as well. It is all about who you know. I think that is a big thing for us.
Absolutely. And that's why relationships are just, so important, and, networking, but relationships, just building relationships with people, because that is connection to opportunities always. But anyway, so So I started off, as I said, in the filming industry, and I just assisted a woman. She lived in St Albans with her brides and her bridal parties, and it was that first wedding, and I just remember feeling like this didn't feel like work at all. It just felt like hanging out on a Saturday morning. And I got paid to do it as well, because then also I was working a lot for expenses, and I was like, this is just madness. Like, this is win-win. Like, this is brilliant. So I did more assisting work with her, and eventually I thought, this is what I'm meant to be doing. And that's how I sort of moved over to the bridal side of things. And so I started building up my portfolio. So, with everything, you're always going to be working for expenses or kind of lower pay to start with.
Yeah.
Because you're learning, you're learning on the job. And this is the thing when it comes to makeup and people, you're learning about skin tones, and you're learning about, you're unleashing your creativity and you're creating looks, and also there's the products to try and get on board with. But when it comes to weddings, as opposed to working on a film set or working on an editorial or a shoot, you're dealing with a person as well. And you're dealing with those feelings, and you're having to read them, because you're having to create a look for them. It's not a brief that the director's told you or a brief that's been agreed on.
Yeah.
You're having to kind of extract the essence of them and find out, what they are going to feel most beautiful in and most confident in. And it's that actually that I think I really, really loved. And I just
especially because it's someone's wedding day. At the end of the day, it is realistically the best day of their life. So it's that. I don't really want to say it's that added pressure, but it's that added kind of excitement for us that we're actually getting to do that for someone on their special day. So it's like, especially for myself, obviously when I get to film a wedding, so I'm filming it for obviously both the couple, and just when they finally get to see that film and they absolutely love it. And I think, touch wood, and I've never actually ever had anyone hate the film. So everyone's loved the films that I've been able to give, which is fabulous. Which I've been able to grow through my whole process, because I've only been doing this 2.5 years. So every time I tell people that in the industry, you go, "Oh, I'm still a baby in the wedding industry." I started when I was 22. I'm now 24. So it's been quite a journey for myself. But it's such a great feeling to know that you've done a job that they're going to appreciate for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely. And our equivalent of that is, holding up the mirror we tend to work in front of a mirror, but I normally would take one right to the window, just have a look close up, and it's just that kind of, big reveal. But I think the best feeling, because we do a trial beforehand.
Yes.
Not all the time, but literally like 99% of the time, we'll do what we call it a preview now, where we'll try a few, looks. And I think, that's it. I've had a few brides where they just go like, this is it. And they've got tears in their eyes. And it's just an amazing feeling to do that for someone, and to make them see,
Yeah, I think especially for a makeup artist and a hairstylist, I think your job is so important, because you're the first suppliers that they've booked that they see on their wedding day. And obviously they have quite a few suppliers, like kind of cake makers or florists, that they don't really see. So you're adding that personal touch right from the beginning of their wedding day. You got to keep them comfortable, make sure they're okay, make sure, because the amount of times I come in and say, have you eaten, have you drank something? Because like you say, going back to that kind of staying hydrated throughout the day, because it's a wedding, there's going to be a lot of alcohol involved. I need to make sure that they are hydrated, so they're not kind of getting too drunk for later on in the day. So they can just enjoy themselves. But you're giving them an experience straight from the start. That's where their wedding day experience starts with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's creating that energy, I think.
Yeah.
What we do. And I think that's really important. Or should I say managing the energy that's already there? And, I'm a makeup artist, and someone wrote an article a couple of years ago now in Forbes, actually, about me, where it was about well, we say we're hair and makeup artists, but I've been, a florist. I've retied bouquets before. I've helped mend sloping cakes that are falling down because we're having like ridiculous heat waves. melting, sewing things. Like you end up doing kind of all those things. You just kind of mix in, mix out, and just help on. And I know all good, wedding suppliers that love what they do are that, we mix in and get on with it. But that's
we get stuck in. We get real stuck into everything.
We do. We have to. We're a team. Everybody's a team, and that's why it is quite good to I would say people looking for suppliers is to speak to the current suppliers that they have already.
Yeah.
They work with, because that familiarity, again, that helps kind of with the energy on the day, and just that really that things are gonna be slick. And
yeah, exactly. Because when we arrive, probably around 2.5 hours before they get married, you've probably been there, my God, for a good 3, maybe 4+ hours, like depending on what weddings you've had. Because there's so many different cultures now where you could be having kind of Asian or fusion weddings, and people might start getting ready at like 4 o'clock in the morning, which is absolutely incredible and insane. I couldn't think of getting up that early for work anymore. But yeah, as before, kind of what we were talking about before recording, you're very, very big on personality as well, which I think having that kind of bond with the bride as well, and you're bringing the personality out of her and that really does set us up. It sets my job up so much more easy for the rest of the day, because she's confident in the way she looks, she's confident in the way she feels, and that it goes on for the whole day.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's what you want. A nice, chilled, calm, bride who's willing to, just be seen as well, and not hiding, because a lot of people are in front of the camera, and yes, there's a camera and people, and lots of people kind of looking. So, it's a lot for someone, and, having that kind of confidence boost. And, I always say it's not just about the makeup that's applied that help people feel confident. A lot of it's the conversations that take place in the makeup chair,
Yeah.
That's so much to do with it. Sort of mentally, you kind of need that sort of mental transition as well, and not just the physical one. And
yeah,
good that we have the preview beforehand, and we kind of trial out those styles, because that's another thing. You want to make sure that you've chosen the right look, that you're not like, oh, but what if I had my hair like this, and no, I don't know, and try it. So that's why we leave no stone unturned trial, and make sure try out everything, so they're happy with that. But it makes all the difference to their body language, how they appear in photos. And I'm sure you've seen it, haven't you, when people are uncomfortable in their, it shows.
Yeah, it does show. And obviously we're trying to make the couple feel more comfortable as the day goes on, but sometimes you do have those couples who aren't very confident or a bit shy when it comes down to photos. And your kind of bit that you do before the wedding, your trial run, is the exact same as a photographer doing a pre-shoot, because you're getting them in front of the camera, you're getting used to the way that you work. So yeah, it's building that confidence before the wedding, so when it gets to that point, it's just so much more easier for them from there on in. So talk to me how, when a bride kind of gets in contact, talk to me about the process in which you go through there. So obviously you have your trial run as well, as you've explained, but how does it go on throughout?
Cool. So it depends how they come through. So sometimes wedding planner might refer them through to us, in which case, so Zoe is our bookings coordinator at CJC Hair and Makeup. She deals with all the inquiries that comes through, most of the kind of the correspondence, books the team on, and does all the contracts and all of that. So any inquiries that come in go straight kind of to Zoe, although there is a link to book straight into my calendar for a video consultation if people want, which is totally free, no obligation. It's just so much easier, like we're doing now, is to see kind of face to face, and just I call it a vibe check more than a consultation, just checking that vibe's right. Mm-hmm. Not everybody is going to be we're not going to be a good fit for them. They might not be a good fit for us. So as much as there's the expertise, it's so important to get that energy match. Otherwise it's going to be on the day. As we said, relationships are so important, and you need to be able to gel. So if a wedding planner gets in touch, we often, suggest that we all jump on a call together. So myself and the planner and the brides. Normally the groom's not around because he can't know what's going on, hair and makeup. And dress and stuff. Actually, I was on a consultation 2 days ago, bless her, and she was just about to start talking to me, and then her partner got home, her fiance, and she couldn't talk anymore about the dress and what she was wearing. So again, we can send kind of images over, but also, you know, get the Pinterest board up and have a look through that, and just a great way of doing it. So, you know, I'm keen to get as many people on a call with me so we can actually properly check all of that and have a proper talk about the vision for the day. Also, you know, if they need any other suppliers and things like that or help in other areas. I've been in the industry now for 14 odd years, more than that.
Wow.
So yes, and I know some great suppliers, and I've seen a lot of things, and yeah, I'm always, you know, always wanting to help. And then, but sometimes people just get in touch and they're just happy to book, you know, they just want to go ahead. So in which case, what we'll do is we take a deposit to secure the wedding date. We can't secure anything in advance if we don't have a deposit, but I normally recommend having a preview, which is our trial. 3 months in advance. So if you have it too early on, then what can happen is you end up changing your mind about what you want. And again, like we see more stuff online, people get in your ear and you're like, oh, actually, what about that? So that's why I recommend 1 to 3 months in advance. Some people say, do you know what, I want one now, and then I also want another trial nearer the time, which is fine. So we can do that, but obviously just that's more kind of costly for people. So, you know, that is an option, but generally as a rule of thumb, 1 to 3 months in advance. If it's too near the wedding, then it becomes quite stressful. And so good indicator. So we'll book the trial in or the preview in for then. And there's never a time limit on those appointments. It's really as long as it takes to find the perfect look, the dream look. I always advise people not to try out too many different styles, because again, then they start confusing themselves. So it's good to, again, be organized with your inspo and your images you're collecting from Pinterest or Instagram or Google or magazines or whatever. And, you know, keep that kind of file organized until if you regularly kind of check it, you'll realize there's common themes running through certain images for makeup, for hair. So that helps you identify exactly what you're kind of looking. Sometimes it's a subconscious thing we're not aware of. And so, yeah, so we try things out until we kind of nail that look. I mean, I say there's no time limit, but generally trials with us tend to last no more than sort of 2.5 hours, sort of maximum. Really around that. Usually just for the bride. We have done trials for bridesmaids in the past, and mothers maybe more so than bridesmaids. What we find with mothers of the groom or of the bride quite often are very attached to their hairstylist and have been for anyone else touching their hair, or they've done their makeup for a certain way for a very long time, and you know, again, they don't want that, or they might not wear much makeup at all, and so they're feeling very nervous about it. So mums, I totally get that, and so we encourage them to have a trial, and it's a really nice little mum and daughter thing to do as well.
Yeah, it sounds like a great bonding experience for everyone involved.
Absolutely, and as much, I do encourage people not to book their trial when they have another wedding to go to, which is usually a popular request, or another event to go to. Because your head is not thinking about your day, it's thinking about what's kind of coming up. So you're not gonna, you're clouded in your thinking. But what I do suggest, and quite often, when we do trials, is, if a mum does come, or even the bridesmaids come, even just to watch, they go out for lunch afterwards, or plan something, make use of it. Get your new LinkedIn, Facebook profile pictures done or whatever afterwards.
Yes. We get quite a lot of those. Where you kind of go around. It's at one point in the wedding where you've pretty much photographed everybody anyway, kind of individually, but you'll still go around and all the couples are then wanting photos together. So, and you see quite a lot where the bride and groom have pass all the photos around for everyone, and you see quite a few comes up on Facebook or something like that, like friends of friends, and you see, because like for us, we'll try and be friends with the bride and groom and things like that, and you'll see other people that get, I took that photo, I remember taking that photo.
Amazing. I find it so amazing now, because any event that I go to, like sort of business networking, and I'm not sure actually what happens with weddings, but it's just a given that you get access to the albums now before, and I'm sure do it as well. Like normally it would just be for them as their bride. Now they just give the guests the access, help yourself to any photos that you want, like tag, everyone's got hashtags for their weddings now, don't they? Tag us and things like that. So yeah, it's just amazing how things have evolved. Although you said 2.5 years you've been going for, and I'm just casting my mind back to like 14 years ago. And it was very, it wasn't even Instagram when I started out. There was just Facebook that we had to concern ourselves with, and now there's
that's the way social media's changed now. Or there goes the time goes 3:00 now, so we'll make sure we can kind of get through everything as quickly as possible for us. But like I said, my parents have been doing it for 13. They're in their 14th year now. So my God, the amount of times I've said on this podcast, I've grown around the wedding industry since I was 11. So. I mean, I shot my first wedding when I was 15. I photographed my first wedding when I was 15, which was crazy. So going from Facebook from back then to now, there's so many more social media platforms that we can kind of show ourselves on, but also for brides and grooms to then get inspiration from. So there's so many more things to go around. But in terms of kind of being prepared, one thing I love that you do is you offer a free preparation guide, which I think is fantastic. So what's involved in the preparation guide? What exactly is it?
Yeah, so it's just a free download for brides that sort of go through the beauty timeline that we mentioned right at the beginning of when we started. There's things that you can do. So obviously I'm talking about nutrition and hydration in there. Absolutely. Number one, fish oil supplements, for example, to support your skin, all of that kind of jazz. But then there's manicures, there's facials, exfoliating your skin, things like that, just kind of those preparation things. And it also talks about what to expect at the trial, how to prepare, organize kind of those images. So it's just a bit of support. But what happens is when people download that, then we're obviously aware that they have done, and that's why we encourage them to have a chat with me, because it always is with me, just about the whole day and the preparation for the day, particular to them, their hair type, their skin type, any skin concerns, if there's any problem kind of areas or dry skin, we want to be starting to clear that up quite early on. So putting a plan in place to improve that for the wedding, because these things don't improve overnight. So they need that time.
No, I think that leads quite nicely into one thing which I absolutely love that you do is you actually do a coaching course as well. So if people didn't know, you actually are a lifestyle coach as well, especially with some things that you've been coming out with, like the hydration and things like that, which I think is fabulous. I think that course must be absolutely packed with information for a bride or a groom kind of preparing for their wedding, because you're going to have so many different kind of tips and tricks that people aren't even going to think about. So what we're not going to go quite into depth with it, because if people really want to know what's part of it, go and buy the course, because I would highly recommend it. So just give me a little brief on what's kind of involved.
Sure. Well, I just wanted to package up digitally, everything that I end up discussing on calls with people when they're in my makeup chair. And the common things that I see people kind of coming up in the wedding planning process. So there is absolutely a beauty prep section in there. I think there's 9 modules, and I filmed it early last year and put it online. But it's also about just there's so much, boundaries with family members and friends. Being organized, keeping, as we've also spoken about, with your kind of inspo images, but just organized with finances and things like that as well. And, sort of spreadsheets, checklists, and it just really helps people. It's a nice guide to take you through the whole kind of Wedmin journey, because it is a journey and it is a process. And
yes,
quite often it can be really frustrating as well for people, because they're waiting on information back, so they can't move forward, and they haven't heard back from that supplier, so therefore they can't get back to that supplier. So it can all get quite messy. So it's really to take stressed out, overwhelmed brides to feeling confident and in control of their wedding planning journey again. And that's what the course is designed to do.
I think that's absolutely fabulous, because some people, like we were saying earlier, it is such a stressful time when you're planning a wedding, you don't realize how much you've really got to kind of pack into it. You don't, all these other little kind of nooks and crannies that you really don't even think about. So I think that is just such an amazing thing that you offer. And obviously linking with your coaching side, you've actually done a book as well, which you were talking to me about before.
I have, yeah, and that's so. Actually, I've got one here right now. So here it is. Hashtag.
Oh, wonderful! There we go.
It's kicking unobtainable standards to the curb and reimagining the power within yourself. That is the tagline. And this literally came out just before we went into lockdown. I'm glad that we had the launch event, but literally it was the week before we went in. And really,
wow.
It's on my career as a makeup artist. So you'll notice the makeup reference here. We've got foundation, blusher, and lipstick swipes. It's a coaching book, and it's the idea is to guide people to build confidence from the inside out. Look, I love makeup. I love doing my hair and fashion trends and all of that. But we live in a world now where the marketers are at play left, right, and center. We've got these things, at us, on us all the time, serving up.
Yeah.
This. And I just noticed with the cosmetics industry and the beauty industry as a whole, which is bringing out more and more products and, creating more feelings of unworthiness and lack within us. And so this book is really the antidote to that. I'm not saying don't use these things, but, you are amazing as you are. And so it delves into, just looking after yourself better and looking at your capabilities and really harnessing your own power. And
yeah.
Using that and not having to rely on anything outside of you and rely on everything inside of you to feel amazing about yourself.
That's wonderful. I think that's like the perfect way to end on that. I think that's absolutely wonderful. I just want to thank you so much for coming on. This has really opened my eyes to some other things that I didn't even realize that went on in the wedding industry. So thank you so much for coming on. Thank
you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
What a wonderful episode that was. Thank you so much to Camilla for coming on and sharing this experience with me on this latest episode of the JOL Wedding Podcast. If you did like this podcast, please leave us a 5-star rating on Spotify. That would mean so much for us. Or even if you're watching this on YouTube, comment, like, subscribe, and for more and more and more new videos for coming in 2024. Thank you for listening to the JOL Wedding Podcast. Share this podcast with anyone you know who is on the journey of planning a wedding. Check out other episodes of this podcast as well as links to our social media platforms at the JOL Wedding Podcast.